Today's top picks from Reuters Breaking Views. Egypt's President Mohamed Mursi ignores the people's craving for democracy at his peril. And Barclays Investment Bank is just too good to lose. With me now to discuss these stories is Reuters Breaking Views' Pierre Brasson. Pierre, thank you so much for joining us. President Mursi, is he out of line and should he step down?
Well, he definitely went too far and he probably underestimated what the people's reaction could be to his power grab. I mean, technically speaking, he tried to silence the judiciary and to prevent the courts from interfering into the writing of the new constitution. Egypt doesn't have a constitution, doesn't have a parliament. So in that void, the president thought he could grab a little bit more power, probably emboldened by the international success he's had last week, a deal with the IMF, the mediation in the Gaza conflict, which gave him some international stature. What we are seeing is that civil society does exist in Egypt, and even though the Islamist movement, the Muslim Brotherhood, has an overwhelming majority in government and, of course, through the president, there is a liberal opposition that he has to take care of and to be wary of not stirring trouble.
So there's this push for democracy, but how much have these events actually hurt Egypt's transition to democracy? Well,
first of all, it does give credit to the idea that the Islamists are here to grab all power, the presidency, the parliament, and probably silencing the judiciary. Second, it hurts the economy. Stock market went down 10% yesterday. Nothing is worse than instability, especially in Egypt, which needs foreign tourists to come back. They won't come back until they feel that the country is stable and has a stable system in a way. Second, the stock market extended losses today, by the way. Second, investors don't want to invest in a country where the judiciary seems to be subjected to power. What Egypt needs is a rule of law, meaning an independent judiciary, meaning stable laws, predictable decisions, and Mursi's move to grab power and to silence the judges. However, whatever the problems are with the judiciary, rife with corruption, they have a very small tradition of independence. So this misfired, and it probably will have to stand down and compromise.
And what's got to happen for him to stand down, do you think? And when could it come?
Well, his own justice minister, who used to be a fighter for independent judiciary back in the dictatorship, is asking him to modify the decree and to limit his decree to really the constitution and not all laws.
Now let's turn to Barclays now and the investment bank. 3/5 of Barclays' revenue comes from the investment banking arm, so there isn't a lot of logic for them to lose this part of the business if it's making so much money, right?
Well, there's some push from some investors asking them to shed the investment bank or to spin it off.
They're under pressure from the FSA as well.
Going beyond the ring fencing that is probably in the cards next year. And so we're addressing the issue saying, what's the urge, what's the urgency, why should they do that now? There's a review going on which is going to take another couple of months. It may make some sense to shed or to close down some activities like equity derivatives in which they went into recently, but they need a thorough evaluation of what exactly it would mean to what would the future of Barclays look like. And so far, there's no really urgency to take a hasty decision, even though they can see that UBS share price went up 20% after they took those drastic steps we talked about. But now is not the moment to take radical decisions, is what we're saying, basically.
Okay, and also to follow up on that, with the financial crisis, with the LIBOR scandal, with the power rigging scandal, what kind of ammunition does Barclays have to say, okay, we ought to be able to keep our investment banking unit?
Well, they need to give their shareholders a clear view of what the costs of doing business will be. The big uncertainty currently weighing over the business is a whole range of activities will not be that profitable any longer because of regulatory, legal, new requirements that are going to be put on banks, and rightly so. But that's why banks have to think really hard and take the time it needs to really assess what type of activity activities they can do profitably that would benefit their shareholders, and what activities they should simply stay away from.
Right, we'll keep an eye on that story. My thanks to Pierre Brasson from Breakingviews, European editor. For more agenda-setting financial insight, watch our US Breakingviews show every day at 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 GMT. I'm Angeline Ong, and this is Reuters.